Ladies and gentlemen, Violent Games here. So I've about wrapped up all my spending as far as new games go for 2018. Thank God, it's been an insane year, and I'm really looking forward to going through my top 5 games with you guys. I feel like all these games are just fucking outstanding. Even the one at the very bottom is a game that I feel like has milestones that are like really significant in its own genre. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's not make this complicated. So number 5 is going to be Detroit Become Human. And Detroit Become Human really came out of left field for me. I was thinking I was going to enjoy this game and kind of goof around with it and just enjoy it for what it is. I wasn't really intending to take the game seriously at any point. However, the game became so gripping to me that I kind of had to close my mouth and start taking the game seriously. I really enjoyed the narrative of this game. This game does so many things to bring the genre forward as well. Like, I really love that it shows you all the different branching paths, and it shows you how different dialogue can be and how many different scenarios can be created from your choices. This game really does stand out as the best choose-your-own-adventure game basically ever. And I'm a huge fan of Until Dawn, right? Like, that game was absolutely spectacular. And I have a huge bias towards horror-themed games. However, I can't deny that Detroit Become Human is just hands down a better game than Until Dawn. And I really hold that game up in high regard. So I hope that means something to somebody. Number 5 is definitely Detroit Become Human. But why it's on the bottom of the list is because, honestly, I think narrative-driven games, games that really only focus on narrative, can't be a game of the year, in my opinion. I think video games, a part of what makes them special is the gameplay itself, and when you lack gameplay, you become more accessible, but you kind of become less of a game and more of a movie. And a lot of people will argue that Detroit isn't even a game, it's an interactive movie, but I think an interactive movie is a video game. You get what I'm saying? So that's my number 5 pick, Detroit Become Human. Now for my next pick in my number 4 slot is Red Dead Redemption 2, and I know I triggered a lot of people just now, even putting this as number 4 and not number 1 or even number 2 or 3, but I'll explain as I go on, of course. But let's not downplay how important of a game Red Dead Redemption 2 is. The milestones that this game carries are absolutely outstanding. I think this is one of the best narratives ever created. I really do. I think it's down to taste, though. Like, if you're into westerns, this is the best narrative ever, period. Like, if that is your jam, this is like the greatest narrative you will ever experience. And I think it's the most immersive open world game I've ever played. That's really the milestone that this takes home. All of the systems in place, the way the world works, everything. It's like Red Dead Redemption's open world is just moving parts on moving parts, and there's just so much nuance and detail in everything in the environments, and everything feels real. It's almost jarring at times. Like, I remember when I was walking through the streets of Saint Denis, and the sun was setting in the background, and I switched it to third person because I was in dialogue with someone. We were about to get a suit, I believe, and the sun was beating down on the back of Arthur's head, and I saw his ears light up as they would in real life, and I realized how just incredibly immersive the game is, and how good the lighting is, and how jarring it is to, like, kill an innocent person or something like that, and the bullet hole wounds. The game is so freaking immersive, and even the way your horse looks, all the muscles, you can like see the muscle definition in your horse. It's absolutely insane, and that is really the milestone that Red Dead Redemption achieves over any other video game in existence. It is the most immersive open world. It is the most incredible open world I've ever experienced. Now, I'm not really into the Western theme of the game, but that's down to personal taste. If you are into the Western theme, this is probably the best narrative you've ever heard. The story is just absolutely outstanding. There's not a lot of games that really rival the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, and the way that story is presented to you is also very dynamic depending on your own choices in the game. The game almost perfectly responds to the choices you make. I actually did a mixed playthrough. Sorry, I got a little loud there. I'm excited. But I actually did a mixed playthrough where I was kind of bad in the beginning and good at the end, and the game referenced that. It's like, dude, Arthur was kind of a piece of shit in the beginning, but not so much near the end. Now, I'm obviously misquoting that, one, because I'm retelling the story, and two, I don't want to spoil anything of the game. There's a lot more context in that conversation as well. So, with all this being said, having this incredible narrative, realistic dialogue, relatable characters that are believable, I just want to, touch upon the finer points since I've been rambling. Why am I putting Red Dead at number 4? And it's something I honestly don't think, or honestly, I feel like people keep letting Rockstar get away with that they shouldn't be able to get away with at this point. And that is the gameplay of Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of shit. It's not good. It doesn't really feel polished. It doesn't even really feel like a modern game. You would think that Rockstar, with all their infinite wealth, is what we're kind of assuming at this point, they could have at least hired someone to touch up the gunplay. And now with heavy tweaking in the settings, you can actually make the game a bit better. I do have a video on that as well. But the gameplay just feels very fucking sluggish and mediocre. And Rockstar getting a free pass for this at all times is kind of boring, but at the same time, the game accomplishes so much. I just really love this game. However, the reason it is, again, at my number 4 slot is for, one, the point I forgot to mention is that there's a lot of tedious side missions, and the immersion of the game can be fucking annoying and doesn't always make sense. From your guns unequipping constantly between missions. Sometimes you leave your horse with your gun, sometimes you don't. It's really not clear when you have your guns equipped, especially if you play in first person. It becomes a real fucking problem. And yeah, things like that, a little bit of quality of life issues could be patched out. I'm sure they could literally patch them out and this game could be near perfect. But yeah, the mediocre gameplay, we need to stop giving Rockstar a pass on that. That's why Red Dead Redemption's at the number 4th slot. Now for the number 3 slot, here's a game that really came out of left field for me. I was not anticipating this game to be all that good when I first saw it, given that it was a 2D JRPG game. That's not a game I usually go for. I find JRPGs to be really grindy and repetitive. However, this game is just wonderful on so many levels. Like, it's really hard to get into because I have so much feels for this game. So let's talk about the art design first, the graphics, if you will. This game kind of proves that art design trumps resolution when it comes to graphics. Like, your game can have as many pixels as you want it to fucking have, but if the art direction is terrible, your game's still gonna look like shit. Art design is ultimately more important than resolution, and I wish publishers of video games would understand this. Instead of trying to push technology further and further with pixels, they would focus on actually crafting beautiful worlds in the first place. Resolution is trumped by art design. I'm going to say that a million times because I feel like people seem to hold different opinions about that. They're like, oh, the graphics have to be this, or the game isn't good, or it doesn't look good. I think that's completely false. Look at the beautiful pop-up environments that exist in Octopath Traveler, and it really does show off better in handheld mode. I want to point that out. So yeah, I just really love the way the game looks, and I love the way the stories are actually presented. There are 8 characters in the game, and each character has their own unique story, and it really does feel like their own unique story. A lot of people complain about the cognitive dissonance between the characters in the game, even though there is travel banter where they comment on each other. However, I find it makes the stories feel more isolated and unique, and because the game is presenting those stories in a way that is kind of with that cognitive dissonance, it does feel unique to any other game I've ever played before. So the multiple stories I actually find to be a very innovative way of storytelling in video games, and I haven't really seen anything quite like that. So really love the multiple stories, and on top of all of that, the stories feature great voice acting. Now, not all of the lines in the game are really that well written. I will admit that. It's very hit and miss. But for the most part, the narrative is wholesome. You feel for the characters that you're playing with most of the time. And not everyone really feels this way, I've noticed. But I don't know. I really enjoyed these characters, and I can't wait to play more of this game. Like, and I know what you're saying. You didn't beat the game. You put it on the Game of the Year list. Yes, yes. You know why? Because this game keeps upping the ante. It keeps becoming more complex, and I always feel like I'm learning things. And let's talk about the gameplay. The combat is actually really fun, but not too complicated. And yeah, there's really not a lot to complain about with Octopath Traveler. I just had to put it up there because it really does fire on all cylinders, unlike my last two entries. They kind of miss key points for what I think needs to be met before I can call a Game of the Year, you know what I'm saying? So I had to put those games below this one just because I feel like it fires on more cylinders, and where it misses, it's more nitpicky than anything else. So Octopath Traveler, you earned number 3 this year. You earned it. Oh boys, the number 2 slot. I'm sorry, Xbox fanboys. It's Marvel's Spider-Man. Oh my god. Talk about a game to completely blow away my expectations. When I bought this game, I was like, man, I'm just gonna play it. It's gonna be like a decent Batman Arkham game. And then I played the game, and right from the beginning of the game, you're already playing web slinging through the city. And guys, I have never had a game that had a movement system this good in an open world game. This is the most fun I've had just traversing the fucking world. Like, there were times where I literally did missions where I chased pigeons because I enjoyed the web slinging that much. The gameplay in Marvel's Spider-Man is fucking exceptional and doesn't just... It is similar to Batman Arkham when it comes to the punches, but you actually have to utilize your gadgets and web slinging more in combat to actually be effective. And because of that, you can adopt different play styles, and I noticed this when I actually watched my friend Taylor play the game. Now, Taylor is a bit more casual than me and actually wanted to do a playstyle that relied more on grapples. He had trouble dodging projectiles, so he adapted his gameplay style to try to counter weapons. So he's trying to build his tree to like facilitate the way he plays the game, and it's really smart and fun, and I loved seeing how different we played the game. So I really enjoy Marvel Spider-Man's gameplay, and it's just such an amazing game. The fact that it doesn't drop frames with all that fast fucking movement, the fact that the music is on point, it sets the tone perfectly. Like, second time I said that, but it's undeniable. It feels like you're playing the best Marvel movie like ever. That's what Marvel Spider-Man feels like. It feels like you're picking up a controller and you're just playing a Marvel movie. Stan Lee's even in it. So I mean, what else do you need? Marvel Spider-Man is absolutely fantastic. I love Peter Parker. I love the voice acting. I love the cutscenes. The only nitpicks I have about Spider-Man are the Mary Jane and Miles stealth sections. I understand it was made to break up the pacing of the game and try not to make the gameplay feel repetitive. However, the stealth sequences are buggy, they're kind of shitty, and the AI, it's just easy. Like, I've played a lot of Dishonored 2, that's my jam. It's a heavily stealth-based game where you can really up the ante and make the stealth actually have tension, whereas Marvel Spider-Man feels like a shitty... Like, I just wait for him to turn around, then I move past. I just wait for him to turn around, then I move past. Ooh, I turn on a distraction, obviously, and move past. And that's just not fun. That is not fun stealth. That is padded. For some reason, I've heard people praise the game for the stealth sections. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people, but, like, that's not fun. I feel like if the game would have focused more on Spider-Man himself, it would have been even better. But, again, these are nitpicks. This is the best superhero game ever made, and that is the... pinnacle milestone that I think this game accomplishes, is that it is the best superhero simulator I've ever played. I've played the Infamous games, 1, 2, and A Second Son, and I've played First Light, which is actually, in my opinion, close to a second if you're talking about just gameplay, not necessarily narrative, but gameplay. I actually really like First Light, and I've also played the Batman Arkham series, and this game trumps all of them on every single angle. World building, environmental details, even the collectibles have value to them because you learn more about Spider-Man and he talks about them, like the relics from Tomb Raider. So everything in this game is just feels so polished and amazing. And another nitpick I do have about Spider-Man, though, is that the DLC is bullshit. Don't buy it. Watch a playthrough or just watch the cutscenes if you want the story. I didn't buy the DLC because I saw the writing on the wall. I will admit the DLC is kind of crap for what you pay for it. But if you ever get this game on sale where it's bundled together, you have to take that deal. You have to. This game is an absolute must-play if you're a fan of superhero games. Alright, guys, and now it's time for Game of the Year. You listen, boy. Listen. It's God of War. I'm sorry. I know the Xbox fanboys are triggered yet again. You didn't get to play the best game that came out this year. Wah, wah. But it's God of War. And I don't know why anyone would try to say otherwise. This game is, like, nearly flawless. It's innovative. It's just incredible. God of War is one of the best games to come out within the past 10 years. Like, hands down, this is one of the greatest games to come out this entire console generation. And I feel like if you miss out on this game, you are missing out on a piece of our culture. You are literally missing out on a piece of our culture as a video game player. This is why I'm really critical of Xbox, by the way. I don't hate Xbox people. I don't know why people get that twisted. They think just because I don't like a console or what the company's doing that I just dislike Xbox fans. But, like, I don't care what console you play on. I think we're all gamers, and that's something we have in common. I view you guys more as friends than, like, I would other people. I find you more approachable because you're a gamer like me. But, like, I've seen absurd behaviors from the community, and this is one of them. People trying to say that God of War isn't Game of the Year is just ridiculous to me. And let's explain why. First off, the graphics are absolutely outstanding. They're jaw-dropping. Like, there are moments in this game where your eyes will widen, and literally my mouth was open. Like, I literally physically dropped my jaw during some of the sequences in this game. The outstanding sense of scale in the boss battles. The epicness of the freaking difficulty of the game. The game can be absurdly hard if you want to, which it's just so amazing. And what pads it all together is the combat system is so awesome. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's really the highlighting point of the game is that you have to utilize multiple things in your arsenal to actually be successful. You need to use the axe, you need to use Atreus in conjunction, you need to combo with Atreus, and it helps you build a relationship with Atreus as well, which really going through the entire game's narrative is like bonding with your son in a way. Like, this game is very father-son vibey, but in like the best way ever presented ever. And it's just so epic. And it really, I feel like that would be the word to encapsulate God of War. Almost as a series, it's just epic, beyond proportion. This game is so epic, you get like this great sense of awe that you are amongst the gods when you are playing this fucking game. And not only that, but the game is contained. It doesn't lack linear sections. Everything feels like it was, paced perfectly. The statement I will end on with God of War, guys, and I can't say this for any other game I've played within the last couple of years, I was never bored playing God of War. Not once was I bored. There was never a dull moment in this game. Even going in between the action sequences was actually somewhat therapeutic because there would be conversations in the boat, you would get more context, but you would also get to take a break from like the hard-ass fucking gameplay that would be thrown your way. Like, everything about this game is damn near flawless, and I've really never felt for like a father-son relationship like I did for Kratos and Atreus. Like, it's just so real and so genuine, and you understand Kratos as a person. It's just so deep. The game is so deep, and everything is just amazing in this game. The giant world, the exploration, the upgrades, like, you can make it overpowered if you want to, you cannot make it overpowered. Everything you could want is in God of War. It is the game of the year, and I'm almost offended if anyone else implies otherwise, but I do understand everyone is entitled to their own opinion, so don't get butthurt because I won't care, because I can't. Like, enough people talk to me in my comment section where I can't get butthurt over someone just insulting me or derailing my opinion. You're not gonna get attention. It's I don't have time. Plus, I don't know where that opinion's even coming from. Half of y'all are crazy, but aren't we all? Anyways, guys, this is Violent Games. I hope you're enjoying 2018. I still am. I am having a fucking blast. I am so inundated with so many different games, and the backlog is insane. There are so many games that are of quality right now that are just available to us as consumers. Regardless of what console you have, you have to be, like, thrilled about video games right now. Like, video games have never been better. And we as gamers have so much access to games not only coming out, but games that we may have missed. And so many games are being released. Having those games being missed isn't actually a problem for us, because once they're marked down, we can experience them later for cheaper. So, all in all, I think the value propositions of some of these games have been absolutely absurd. And I'm just happy. I'm really happy to be a gamer right now. This is a really good time. Yeah, the industry's pulled some shit on us, like microtransactions out the ass. I avoid most games with microtransactions in them at this point, but... Oh, and Fallout 76. Jesus Christ. What the fuck happened? Bethesda just completely ate shit. I don't know. They, like, literally just tried to rape our wallets. Oh man, I'm gonna get demonetized. I said the R word. It's done. Anyways, guys, Violent Games signing off. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Sorry I haven't been keeping up with comments as much as of late, but I'm gonna try to do better. Granted, the only time I want to answer comments is when I'm ready for comments. Because if I'm being a sensitive little bitch at any point in time, I don't want to answer comments. But I think you guys get it. Anyways, Violent Games signing off. I'm going into tangents. I love 2018. I love video games. And have fun, guys. Have so much fun.